I'm here with Nancy East and Chris Ford, and you guys hiked in this morning from the Allegheny Trail, right?
We did.
So where are you guys from?
I am from the mountains of western North Carolina, about 30 miles west of Asheville.
Okay,
And I live on the other side of the mountains of the Smokies in Knoxville, Tennessee.
gotcha. So you guys are team hikers. You get together to hike quite a bit?
We do, yeah. We've been friends for how many years now?
About 8 years we've been hiking
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've heard some things that you guys are, you've broken some records and done some pretty amazing things. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
You want to go or you want me to?
Why don't you?
All right.
Yeah.
So back in 2020, we broke the speed record for hiking all the trails in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. There are about 800 miles of open trail, but to hike all of them, you have to retrace your steps, on some of them. It's not just a linear trail like the Allegheny Trail. So we hiked all of the trails in 948 miles and did it in 29 days. We did it,
Wow.
we did it all as a fundraiser for preventative search and rescue and raised about 30 grand for the park. So
That's
we felt good
awesome.
about that.
It
Yeah.
was a fun project.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're both are you both in search and rescue?
I am, yeah. And well, Chris
I'm
not on
not,
a
yeah.
an official team, but we
No.
always end up counseling people on trail. It
Yeah.
seems like, especially
It's really
in
important.
the Smokies. Yeah.
Sometimes they
so-
take it from people on trail better, or
Yeah.
not so in your face. Kind
Right,
of.
right. Just
People
kind of
like to
help you out.
casually talk about it so that they can.
Or when they're in need, they really will.
They
listen.
really will listen. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
You might need some electrolytes.
That's a good time to listen.
Exactly.
So back in November, we had a fundraiser here. We had our movie premiere and the How Would You Survive weekend. And we actually sent some money to the Haywood County Search and Rescue. And that's all involved in the movie Safe and Found, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so Julie Gayhart was here,
Mhm.
and we got to see parts of that at that time, and it's just amazing how you can see the preparedness. Sometimes you think you're prepared and you're not
Exactly.
whenever you go
Right.
hiking, and I think that's the biggest mistake that people make, right?
Totally.
You think you're prepared, or you think you don't need all that because you're only going to go for a little hike, and then it ends up being overnight for some reason, and that's
Right.
when people get into trouble. But you were a big part of that. So how do you feel that has helped with hikers by making a film and kind of putting some of those stories out there? I mean, one story, a woman actually lost her life, and that's a very, very sad situation. But bringing awareness to the fact that this is how serious this is.
Right.
People can lose their lives if you're not prepared.
Exactly.
So how do you think that's helped get the word out there?
Yeah, I think people learn best when they hear like real life experiences of others and stories of sometimes the worst case scenario, or sometimes not even the worst case scenario, but just dumb luck, that happens, and people trip and fall, break a leg. That was one of the other stories in the movie. So I think a lot of people who felt like they were prepared have reached out to me personally and said, you made me rethink what I put in my pack, and made me rethink, what if I am out here all night? What would make me comfortable and stay safe, but at a minimum be
And
comfortable?
I will say, from a distance, I'm good friends with one of the folks on her search and rescue team too. And over the last 8 to 10 years, to watch the number of searches that Lane and Nancy get called out on,
Mhm.
those have gone down quite a bit.
They have.
Really, that's great.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's been noticeable.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and cutting down on those calls frees everybody up to, stay safe, because
Yeah.
it's also, it can be very risky for the search and rescue people going in, because oftentimes it happens, when bad weather is going on, and, loved ones are trying to, rush people to get out there and find, the missing person and all of that. And I don't think a lot of people think about that side of things either.
Mhm.
What you have to sacrifice in order to be a search and rescue, and how you just have to be ready all the time
Right.
to go out. So being prepared, it alleviates a lot of the risk for a lot of other people too.
Right.
Yeah. So whenever you started at the southern part of the trail,
Mhm.
and then you've been hiking north all this time. So what was the weather like whenever you first started?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been interesting. We were just talking to Kendall about this, that the first night, I think we got down into the mid-20s right off the bat. And so, yeah, it was cold. And the diversity of the trail has changed quite a bit, too. So we've seen a little bit of everything. We've seen really cold, some pretty hot days. The terrain has been very different, boggy down low along the river. River walks have been great. And then the ridge walks have been really nice, too. Open farmland that we've seen. But the temperatures this time of year change quite a bit. So it's important to have like good 3-season coverage in your bag. And as we were just talking earlier, right after this rain goes through, we're going to be dropping down into the teens. So you see what we've been up to 75-ish probably.
Yeah.
And we're going to be down into the teens and everything in between this time of year.
So how do you pack for something that it fluctuates so much and not have a 75-pound bag on your bag?
I'm not quite dialed that in. He's the better one to ask for that.
I've done the long trails, and you get study. I did not start out that way though. I remember the first time I went out to the Appalachian Trail, the base weight, which is everything but your food and water, that was 26 pounds. Throw some food and water in, it goes up pretty quick. So once you start looking into the lighter weight stuff, you can get your pack weight down into that 10 to 15 range in pounds. And you've got some pretty good coverage for really hot and pretty cold as well. Not winter necessarily, but it takes a little homework.
Yeah.
Layers for sure. You know, just knowing what to look for with lightweight, but also stuff that'll keep you warm and dry. But it can get complicated and expensive really fast. But
So how did you hear about the Allegheny Trail?
I heard about it first at Alda East, which is the American Long Distance Hiking Association, their conference in Abingdon, Virginia. I guess about a year and a half or so ago, I went to speak at it and met the, La Vista, some of the board members that were there.
And you knew Heidi.
And I knew Heidi, yeah. I don't think she knew much about it then, though.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I met Nicole. I mean, of course, biggest cheerleader for the trail, and
Yeah.
so I was sold. She sent me home with this homemade salad with some shiitake mushrooms. I will never forget that salad.
Nicole's the mushroom girl.
Right,
Yeah.
and I had no idea. She told me they were from, she had harvested them, but
Yeah.
that salad was to die for. Yeah, and so I was like, I'm going to come hike your trail just to eat this salad again.
Nicole was here just a couple weeks ago, and we did a shiitake
I saw
inoculation
that.
workshop. So
Yes.
yeah, she's fun to be around. And they've been working really, really hard to clear out a lot of blowdowns that are
Yes.
on the trail. I know that last weekend, I think it was, they had a huge work weekend,
They
and
did.
I just talked to Nicole, and she said that they cleared out another 6 miles today.
Really?
So, I mean, we've had a lot of high wind here. There have been, I think, more trees down this year than I've seen in a long time. It's just been a really windy, spring.
Right.
And even back in the winter, we had, a lot of treetops come down. And I know that, Nicole, she can put a team together like nobody's business.
Yes, she can.
She's a hard worker.
Yeah.
And I think the one day they had 11 sawyers working, and they needed
That's a
them.
lot.
The
Yeah.
footage of the trees that were down,
We saw a little bit of the video, and we thought
was
that's probably
impressive.
not where we should be going. So we took
Yeah.
the low route.
Yeah. So, did you have a lot of support from La Vista and?
Oh my gosh, over the top. I mean, yeah, it just feels like the red carpet keeps getting
It
rolled
really
out
has.
ahead of us.
We've
Yeah.
both hiked a lot of trails, and this has been a very special experience for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great.
So you use a trail app whenever you're. What do you use?
Well, in the Smokies, and typically I use one called Gaia, but that one has not been very helpful out here. So Far Out, the newer app that has all these different trails, that is 100% the way to go. If somebody wants to hike this trail, they definitely need to get that, because Gaia doesn't even have every bit of trail that we've walked on, especially the road walking sections.
Yeah, and I think it's only like what, $10
It's
or
so cheap.
15 or
Yeah,
something?
it's really,
Yeah, it is.
really affordable.
I mean, it's definitely worth having.
Totally, yeah.
Yes,
And you get real-time comments, and it's great.
Yeah, it talks about water and all the different
Absolutely, yeah.
shelters and
It's
things.
crowd sourced, so Nancy was doing a great job at continuously updating comments along the way, because those are the breadcrumbs we use. So if there's somebody a week behind us, they will have a fresh comment for here and there.
Yeah.
Right.
What's going on in town? Is that water source good? How is the camping here?
Right.
Yeah,
It's been great. Yeah.
it's
So
kind
they've
of
done
the
a great
standard
job.
these days for trails.
Yeah.
Good. So you're actually at mile marker 200 here at the Bed and Breakfast.
Yeah.
So you have 111 miles to go. But so far, I know you haven't seen the whole trail yet, but so far, what have you liked the most about the trail?
I'll jump.
Yeah.
I think it's the diversity. And a lot of times when we're on trails, it'll have like this common theme, but this keeps changing. It's pretty diverse. You got ridge walks, you're walking along beaver ponds, farmland. You get a little bit of everything. Marshy areas, real backcountry wilderness. Yeah, I like the diversity of it.
Yeah, I would echo that for sure. But also just the West Virginians, truly.
That's another great,
yeah,
you're right.
everybody has been so
To a
warm and
person.
welcoming. Even if Nicole didn't tell them ahead of time we were coming, they've just been exceptionally kind and warm and friendly. I mean, really and truly, you don't always get that on trail experiences in towns. People look at you kind of, sideways like you're a drifter, but nobody has looked at us at that through that lens at all. They've just
The people have been great, you're right.
yeah, yeah.
Nicole keeps her finger on the pulse of what's going on
Yes,
on
she
the trail.
does.
And
Yeah.
she makes sure that, we take care of our
Right.
hikers. And,
But even people not associated with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we
it's so
enjoy,
kind.
I think we all enjoy, as West Virginians, we're just kind of hospitable that way. You know,
Yes.
if we see somebody, we want to make sure they're okay. We want to make sure that they have, the things that they need on the
100%.
trail. And and so, just speaking as a West Virginia, I think we have a pretty good group of people here that like to take care of others who are.
It shows.
It shows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
it really does.
Well, good. I'm glad that everybody's making us proud.
Yes, they 100% are. Yeah.
So, we've talked about your favorite parts. Do you have anything that you would recommend? What could we improve on, or what does the trail need? Or
I would say probably just more people hiking it, where it doesn't get so overgrown. Just, when we had to hike up to the Allegheny from the Appalachian Trail, it was noticeable. Of course, the AT is just so heavily traveled day after day, and so it's tramped down, and you can just tell it's a well-worn trail, and you immediately get off of that onto the Allegheny, and, there's a noticeable difference, and that's just going to take more people hiking it, I think, don't you think?
Yeah, I do.
In some ways.
And I think we've had some talks as we walk too for different things. You see a trail like this that has so much potential. What could you do with it, and what could be transferred from one trail to this trail? We've got some ideas for that, but foot traffic is the big one. Get the foot traffic going, and then infrastructure inside the towns will grow. The Durbans, the Casas will be able to pick up a little bit. And there's some festivals and things that we talked about that you can put around those that could help create that. But you need more hikers on the trail.
Yeah.
And people like Nancy, who has a big outreach, will help, I think, with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that just takes time to grow it. But
it's almost like a best kept secret, right?
it really is, yeah.
We
The
were
bones are
talking.
there.
We're literally the only two people on trail that we have seen the entire trail.
We have not seen any other
Yeah.
hikers or backpackers, not a single one.
We've seen fishermen, but not hikers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a little early in the season.
True.
Things will start picking up, but and for the very reasons that you've talked about earlier, the fluctuation in temperatures, the fluctuation in
Yes.
weather and stuff,
Right.
it can be very difficult here.
Absolutely. And
I
we
mean,
knew
you
that
really have
coming
to be
in. We've got a lot of experience, so we took our shot
and
at
see,
it.
that's what maybe some of the hikers are waiting to test the waters and see, okay, is the weather leveling out a little bit,
Right.
so I don't have to worry so much about the layers. But
Yeah.
in West Virginia, in the mountains, it can sometimes take a little bit for that to level out.
Yes, I can imagine, yeah.
we go back and forth, But let's see. So when did you start? How many days have you actually been on the trail?
We started
What was our first day? Was it
it's
10
on a
days
Wednesday. I think it was,
Ago? We're going
yeah.
to be right at 15 days. 14,
Yeah.
15 days is what we're looking at right now. So we're moving pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a week ago this
No
past
days off.
Wednesday, so 8,
Yeah.
9, 10. So yeah, I think it is our 10th day on
Yeah.
trail.
And then you're looking to complete it.
By next Thursday. So
Okay.
yeah, it'll be 15 total.
Yeah.
So this is
That's a pretty good time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've put in some long days here and there, and yeah, we're both a little rusty from not hiking a lot over the winter. So,
Right.
if
This
I'm
is
walking
busy.
around
Come out of
hobbling,
hibernation,
yes,
right?
But yeah, I mean, it's a tough trail. Yeah, it's certainly. Our mountains are taller in western North Carolina and East Tennessee, but these are just as tough. As far as the
Yeah.
climbs. You
Yeah,
guys have
I
some
agree.
You like to go straight up to the top.
It reminds me, it's funny, if you read books about the old Appalachian Trail, the old way they cut it was to climb straight up the ridge, stick to the ridges, and right off the bat down south. I was like, wow, this reads very familiar to what I remember reading before. And so I don't know, there's something interesting about, there seems to be a tie there. But it's steep. Yeah, those may not be 3,000-foot climbs, but you keep hitting 700-foot climbs all day.
Yeah.
It beats you
It
up.
wears you down. Yeah. We're ready to roll into camp.
So have you seen a lot of wildlife on your trip?
Deer
so far?
right off the bat.
Yeah, a
so
lot of
many
deer.
I think we saw 25 or so
That first day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else have we seen? Turkeys for
deer.
sure. Maybe a coyote that one day running
Yeah,
across
we've
the
heard
trail.
some coyotes for sure
Yeah.
at night. I'm pretty sure I heard a bear splash through the stream.
That's right.
Down not far from us. It just sounded too big, too clumsy. Haven't seen a bear though. Haven't even seen bear scat yet.
Well, they're waiting for the weather to break too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I don't
Yeah.
blame them.
Yeah.
They're like, it's going to be 18 next week. We'll just
Yeah.
pull the covers up
Yeah,
and stay in
right.
here for a little longer.
This is a head fake. I'm not coming out.
Sure.
Oh my. So let's see.
No snakes.
Yeah, no
That's
snakes
good.
at
This
The
all.
time of year,
temperature's
yeah.
probably still keeping them
Right.
at
Yeah.
bay
At
too.
bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you guys can have some rattlesnakes. We do too.
Yeah,
But no, yeah. It's still a little too cold for that.
right.
All right. So, do you guys have any plans on what's going to be next after the Allegheny Trail? Do you plan that far ahead?
Sometimes
have
we
anything
do.
you'd like to-
Sometimes we have like a little plan of what we're going to hike. Sometimes she's going different than I am. I don't have anything yet, but I think I will have a couple other hikes, bigger hikes later in the year. But I'm not sure what they are yet. I think you do have some.
Yeah, I'm going to go up to Newfoundland. I went last September and hiked the East Coast Trail, and it kind of wanders up the spine of the coast for, I think it was 200 miles. Yeah, a little over 200. But I'm going to go back with my daughter and husband, and we'll do some more day hikes. So I'm going to backpack a little bit. I'm going to go ahead of them, and but yeah, next year I'm going to do the AT. So that's the first time I've said it publicly, actually. So.
You get it here.
You
Yeah,
said
you
it
got
out
it here
loud.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll start next winter actually. So this is a long time dream come true. So
Well, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
You'll have to keep us informed about how that goes.
I
I'd
will.
love to keep in touch with you.
For
and
sure.
you guys need to bring your families back and stay when you're not so busy hiking.
yeah, yes, for sure.
And, we've started in the state of West Virginia, our governor, Governor Morrissey, has challenged the entire state of West Virginia to walk a mile a day to start getting in
nice.
shape. And so we're not talking necessarily about people who already hike or who are
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
athletic. This is about challenging people to get healthy again. And so a mile, in your opinion, a mile is very doable, right? For
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it's a very good starting
start.
starting spot for anybody. And so we've started a Facebook page where people who are doing the Mountaineer Mile can go and post clips and post pictures, talk about, whether they got their, if they're in the woods, if they're in the city, if they're, whatever their terrain is, talk a little bit about it, and we can encourage everybody. And so, of course, our Mountaineer Mile that I do pretty much every morning, I can, I switch it up a little bit, but I usually start by hiking down the drive, and then it's the first part of the Allegheny Trail where you guys will be heading out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do is whenever you guys head out, I'll walk the first mile with you guys.
Yes,
We'll
I
get
love it.
the Mountaineer Mile, and you guys will be doing your Mountaineer Mile, even
Right.
though you have a whole bunch of miles behind you and ahead of you.
Right.
But, it'll be just a good shout out for all those people who are just starting their journey of getting in shape and finding better health. And,
Yeah.
we're so proud of West Virginia for actually focusing more on healthy options and
Definitely.
doing healthier
Hiking
things.
is such a great activity to reclaim your health.
Yep.
It is a great place to go do it.
And we have so much to look at here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It especially on the trails that like the Allegheny Trail. it's what, 311 miles?
Mhm.
Right.
Okay, so you would have 311 days of
Yeah.
different terrain, right? Or
Right.
different,
Yeah.
but just in your backyard, you can get the mile in, and you can see. We do forest farming. We do we have the herbal gardens. We do all kinds of things here on the farm. It's 250 acres, so you can do your Mountaineer Mile a lot of different ways. And
Totally.
people in the state of West Virginia, it's not just the rural areas. We have so many beautiful areas in city parks and different towns. You can do a beautiful Mountaineer Mile in the town of Durban.
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
have to go far in order to,
Right.
to find an easy walk or a more challenging walk. You can up the ante in a lot of different ways.
100%.
So,
Yeah. You've got a lot going on here. Bike riding, mountain bike riding,
Water sports.
rails to trails.
Yeah.
There's a lot of outdoor
really
activity
is.
here. As we've walked across it, like the bones are here. It's
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yep.
yeah, and just surrounding this bed and breakfast, there's over 920,000 acres of wilderness area,
Wow.
national forest, and 3 state parks.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
So the nature, you can't come
You
here
can't escape
without
it, yeah.
seeing the nature. The
Yeah.
nature part of it, and we have a lot of small towns that have little shops, a lot of local, handcrafts and things like that. There's just so much that you can find here, whether it be, and like you said, hiking, biking, kayaking,
Yeah.
swimming in the
Mhm.
river.
Rivers.
We have some of the
Everything.
cleanest rivers in the state of West Virginia. In fact, this river out here, they still find hellbenders
Yeah.
in
Yes,
the
we're
river.
We were talking about that
Yeah.
earlier. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
So, but anyway, well, it's been so good having you guys here. I've so enjoyed meeting you. I look forward to our hike tomorrow. And,
Yes.
is there anything that you'd like to say to your followers while you're here in West Virginia?
Come hike this trail. That's what I would say. If you're
Yeah,
a
it's-
backpacker, it's worth it. For
It
sure.
really is a great trail. And we were talking about if you're going to take a shot at the Appalachian Trail, this is a great training
That's a
ground
good
for
point. Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
a
good
link.
to know.
If you have
It
AT
really is.
aspirations, come check out the Allegheny Trail.
Yeah. Because you've got good resupply options that are, strategic or not
You're gonna learn a
strategically,
lot.
but yeah, they're
Yeah, it's-
they're appropriately placed where you don't have to hike too far with a big food carry and welcoming towns.
Right, and
the
there's
infrastructure.
There's a few places, and we're one of those included, that allow you to ship
Right,
a resupply
resupplies.
package.
That's huge. Yeah.
And you just send it to us, put resupply on the side. I stick it in the office and wait for you to get here to
That's
pick it up.
huge.
Exactly what
Yeah,
we.
that's a
yeah,
dream.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So all right, well, I look forward to doing the Mountaineer Mile with you in the morning.
We do
That's,
too.
good.
I'm prepared.
Yes,
for
you
that.
are.
Maybe not much more than that, but
We'll take care of you if you're not. You'll be good.